This week was light on movies, but hey, can't win them all. Hi, I'm Devin, and here's what I watched this week. Spoiler warning for all of these movies coming up. First, I watched the Netflix documentary, Don't Die, The Man Who Wants to Live Forever. Now, this just came out, 2025 release. It's a documentary, like I said, follows Brian Johnson. He wants to live forever. He's been paying millions of dollars to do all these experimental projects and gene diversity and all this kind of different stuff. But it's formulaic. It's a Netflix documentary. It really doesn't dive deeper than a layer or two. So really, I don't know. I kind of found it baseline, boring, kind of just a normal documentary. He's just sacrificing so much of his life just to live maybe a couple more years with the one son that he actually pays attention to. It says in the documentary, like I said, spoilers, he contemplated suicide one time, so he quit his job, left his wife, left his 3 children to be his own and to live this weird life where everything he does is focused on living longer. He says that it's a scientific formula. He's trying to do this for science, but really it's just self-actualization. He's doing it for himself. It's all selfishness. If he was really about the science, he would use his millions of dollars to fund an actual research project to do this for normal people. He wouldn't just do this for one time, because if this was actually good science, it wouldn't just be one anecdotal evidence trial on just one person. It would be an actual real trial with everybody. So I can't in good faith recommend somebody live like this or somebody actually do this. For me, I mean, you lost me at 64 pills a day. That's just not feasible for any normal person. I mean, obviously the price range isn't there for me, but the pills just are something that I don't want. Now, I do want to say I don't wish any ill will on anybody in the documentary, and there are benefits to, exercising and eating well, but please just enjoy your life. There's no reason to start a cult over your own idea that you have. If you can't cope with the idea of death, don't start a cult, right? It's unearned self-importance. That's what this whole documentary is. And yeah, it's a 4 out of 10 for me. Next up, I watched a movie from last year called Subservience. This has Megan Fox in it, and I would describe it as Megan, the movie, mixed with Her and a little bit of Ron's Gone Wrong. If you've seen all 3 of those, you know what I mean when you watch this movie. That combines to make Alice the main the main AI in this movie. Honestly, I was entertained more than I was expecting. It was engaging and a little bit thought-provoking. I mean, it's not super deep. It's what if robots were jealous, I guess. I said it on Letterboxd, but Megan Fox in human adjacent roles where she gets to kill and just harm other people, I think those are her best roles. Jennifer's Body, shout out right there. She's a great actress in those kind of roles. She has the weird deadpan face in order to pull these kinds of roles off, and I think she was great in it. It borders on creepy throughout. I was a little surprised on the whole Monty scene. I didn't expect her to go like that, but that's how it is. Diving into the plot a little bit, I don't know how the wife kind of just resumed normal life and began all of this stressful stuff right after her open heart surgery. She probably should have been, hospitalized for a little bit longer, at least, if not, dead from a heart attack after all of this. Moving to the main protagonist, I wasn't a huge fan. He was whiny and self-absorbed, and I think he should have died at the end with the car crash and everything. I think that he should have died. Overall, I think there was a rushed ending, but I mean, it was good enough for a movie night. 6 out of 10. Next up for me was Thelma and Louise from 1991, and let me just say, Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis do something for me in this movie. They were so good. I loved it. I gotta say, for the plot wise, the slope they were on, it was so slippery, it really felt like a cliff. As soon as they left their town, it was one thing after the next, and it all stems from a misunderstanding that, I mean, I wouldn't even call it a misunderstanding, a fundamental flaw with society at large. Even in those times, they couldn't go to the police because they wouldn't believe them. How is that? Oh man, that's brutal. There's nothing for me to say because I can't say anything. I will say, actually, their actions were justified. They didn't do anything wrong until, they started doing a little bit of things wrong. But that's neither here nor there. They were kind of forced into it. I don't know. The men in this film were pretty one note, but overall still believable as characters. I didn't find anything wrong with how they were portrayed. I think there's real people that are like that. The ending for me, I mean, for all of us, had so many iconic shots, from the driving in the desert with all of the police behind them, to the helicopter rising out of the canyon, and finally to the final freeze frame where they're going off the cliff, and one last ride for the two of us. I think it's a fun girls trip movie. And last but not least, I can't be the only one that thought this was based on a real movie, right? Please tell me that I'm not the only one, because that's a little embarrassing. I really thought that this was a real thing. 8 out of 10 for me. It was really good. I recommend this one. For my final movie, I watched Nosferatu from 1922. And let me say, technique-wise, this was beautifully shot. The movie's incredible. The use of shadows and practical effects, and the sound design, the music throughout, just, I mean, it's art at its highest form. All of it is used masterfully, and I can't give them any more praise than that. It's really a horror hall of fame for me. This is one of the top tier horror movies, and I gotta give a shout out to Max Schreck, who great portrayal of Count Orlok. That it's iconic. I mean, it was even used in SpongeBob, Nosferatu. That said, I'm personally so far disconnected from that era of film and movies and all of that editing style and everything, that everything just seemed a bit silly to me. Obviously, the sped up motion and the dialogue, the overacting, because there's no dialogue, it just seems silly in this day and age. Obviously, I understand what they were working with and why they had to do everything the way they did, but that doesn't take away from the fact that now, to today's modern age, it's a little silly, and that's okay. There were a few times, and this could just be on me, where I had to assume where the plot was going and how things were progressing. Like, for example, I didn't know that Hutter was, when he was hiding from Count Orlok, I thought that he just went to sleep. I didn't realize that Count Orlok put him to sleep with his mind control or whatever it was. Maybe it's on me. Also, Ellen's connection with Count Orlok through, mind control? I don't know what it might be. Overall, it's not lost on me that this movie is a classic, but just for the modern brain rot of myself, it just wasn't something for me overall. 5 out of 10, in my opinion. Like I said, fewer movies this week, but that's what I got. Have you seen these movies? What did you think? Sound off in the comments. Let me know what I should add to my watch list. Add me on Letterboxd. I'm at Devin S. And I'll see you next week.